Hello everybody, it is Sunshine Frost, and today we're going to be talking about another episode, which is kind of a jump start off of our other one. But it's so important because people really ask me this question, and I think it's really special for them to know that we are actually going to be talking about, will my loved ones know me when I'm in heaven? And this is something we just talked about on our other lives, so we're going to be talking about this tonight. So I'm very, very excited to share this information with you. My name is Sunshine Frost, and I am a clairvoyant and medium. I have been for about 19 years and full-time social media and readings through the internet, just doing virtual readings for 9 years. And I'm very, very happy to say I've got a chance to read for over 150,000 people. And it has been such a blessing to my life to be able to do what I do. So I'm really excited to have you guys joining me on this beautiful live. And if you haven't watched the video, Being Afraid to Die, I would totally recommend you watch that before you watch this one. And it's going to give you a lot of background on exactly what it is that we are doing. So first things first, I just want to say thank you guys for being here, and if you're watching us here at the One Tribe, if you're watching us here in person or you're going to be watching us later, make sure that you hashtag where you're from and let us know so we can really enjoy that energetic with you. I think it would just be awesome to have you with us in the One Tribe, and we want to know where you're from, what country, what state, and how long you've been following Sunshine Frost or the One Tribe family. So make sure you like, subscribe, and comment on the video. I always ask people to give 3 comments. Let us know what you like, what inspired you, and what helped you. So that's such a special thing too, because sometimes you're not going to get a chance to watch these, as we're filming this at 11:51 p.m. on the West Coast. So I imagine more than half of the country is sound asleep. So they're going to wake up to this beautiful message in their inbox, and we couldn't be happier to deliver these messages right where people are going to need them. So we want to go ahead and let you know that this is an important topic, because I just talked about how when you're in your body, this is just some drawings. We did these teachings, so I do recommend watch the video that says, are you afraid to die, and kind of basically why we're so afraid to die. And over here we have our oversoul, which is the combination of all of our earthly experiences and heavenly experiences, and we're in the body down here. We're just a fraction of that. That's called our spirit. It's a fraction of what our oversoul is. And this is our physical body right here, okay? And I know that our physical body does definitely return to the earth, to the ground. And when it does return to the ground, is that going to be something that's going to cause us to feel afraid? And someone asked in the last live, well, if my spirit goes in the ground, then how will anyone, if my body goes to the ground, how will anybody recognize me? Because that's how they always recognize me, is through my body. So how is that possible? And this is where it's very important to remember that the body is just a host vehicle, or what you're actually appearing to be in the host vehicle. It's not all that it is. Hello, Martin. Thank you for joining us on the show tonight. I hope all of you watching on YouTube and on our other devices will come and join us on the YouTube live, so we're able to just get an idea of how many of you are with us, and make sure you comment so I can include you as part of the live broadcast, which makes it so much funner for those watching it later to see all of the interaction. Yay, hello Miss Pam, thank you so much for being here, guys. So it's just a pleasure to bring this teaching to you. We're going to do this show tonight, and this show is about the questions I get asked when people are reading with me. So I do readings from all over the world. I am a medium, as I said earlier, and I've gotten to do this for over 150,000 people. And I've also had the opportunity to teach intuitive studies in the natural clairvoyant style. And since I am a metaphysical Christianity minister, I like to teach people that gifts of the Spirit are not only from God, but are of God. So it increases our faith in our belief system rather than separating us from it. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy, Robin. Yeah, watch this on the big television. Have some actual media that actually feeds your soul and not just your eyes and ears, but gives you something to walk away with, thinking and feeling that you did something to perpetuate your spiritual evolution and to help you on this earth journey. Wouldn't that be nice to know that we're all just kind of growing on our earthly journeys? And so that's the reason why we want to make the most positive, enlightening content that we can as an independent creator. And I'm so grateful. If you're putting me on your television, that's awesome. Make sure you're also on your phone on the live app so you can be making the comments. So be watching us in both your large and big screen, because I hope that you get to see your own comment flash on the television and let you know that you're being part of a live broadcast that's going to reach thousands of people, and they need to know your questions and comments, because maybe it's the exact question or comment that they're actually thinking about at home in that very moment. So it's very important that everybody ask their questions and get answers for them. So we had a lady in the last live, and I don't remember if it was Miss Kathy that's on here right now, but it was one of our Miss Kathys. And she actually asked me, Sunshine, how will I know my family members if they don't have their physical bodies? And Miss Andrea was giving us some questions to that, and her questions were, Miss Andrea, what did you say in our last live? You said, and it's a great answer, and I don't even want to expand on it. It was so good. Do you remember what was said in the last? We talked about this teaching again. I recommend watching the video before this one, where we clipped up and talked about the oversoul being the combination of all your spiritual experiences. So it has all the experiences from when you might have lived before. Maybe you were a spirit guide for someone else. Maybe you had an opportunity to study with the Ascended Masters. Maybe you had the opportunity to learn directly from Buddha or Jesus or Moses or Muhammad, because even they were all children of God, because they were real living people. We might have turned them into something they were or were not. Many Christians need to remember that all of the Ascended Masters did live on the physical earth, and they are historical beings, and they are children of the same God, even if they call him by a different name. And some of us have studied with the Ascended Masters before we came here. And so I love that for all of us. And I would like to tell you that it's a beautiful thing to remember that the Oversoul has all of this information from different lifetimes you might have lived. Maybe you were a Christian in your lifetime. I know in this lifetime that's the choice, and this is my teaching, is to go preach, teach, and make believers. While I don't feel that I need to convert anybody to anything, I do feel like I love to share my faith and my walk and my idea of how I believe Christian gifts and Christian mysticism have affected and impacted and helped my life and the lives of thousands of other people. So tonight I'm going to be talking about heaven, since I did have the opportunity to be able to have a near-death experience. Not that I signed up for it, but when I was on Next Level Soul, Alex Ferrari said, you didn't just have one near-death, you had two. So I tell people all the time on the show, why don't you quit dying? I think some people don't know how, but yes. So let's see what Tamara has to say. She says, I am told things in my sleep. I am wondering who tells me this knowledge about things. I will have a dream and receive information about my family, be warned about something even, etc. So this is a great question, Tamara, and I'm so glad you asked it. This is a combination. So in heaven, we have a spirit team that works with us, and we have, it's enormous. Everything there is so much bigger than Earth, but if you think about You have your angels and guides that are directly around you that were assigned to you through each, or just say, let's say, this earth life. And then beyond this, you have sentinel angels, guardian angels, ascended masters, the glory of God, the presence of God, the knowledge and wisdom of God, and everything permeates everything in heaven, and everything is alive. The animals, the plants, the trees, the flowers, everything is alive. So when you are asleep, you are accessing your subconscious connections, and you could just honestly be answering it yourself. Believe it or not, many people think that mediumship is very anti-religious and very fanatical about this. But I'm going to tell you my belief on this is that I've been baptized 4 times. I was a Christian missionary, and now I'm a minister, and I teach this stuff for my own purpose of just spreading the light and love of Jesus without religiosity and without judgment. I'm going to say that I know for a fact that your oversoul is always connected to your lower self, which is the part that incarnates here. And people say, why would my lower self incarnate here? Because your lower self is the only part of you that still needs to evolve. So remember, we talked about your oversoul being a library, and we want to have every single book in the letter A, and every single book in the letter B, C, and E, D, and so on all the way to Z. So addiction, abuse, abandonment, persecution, misery, sickness. There's a different episode for every book, and some of these you'll learn by being a spirit guide. Some of these you'll learn by your earth experience. Some of these you'll learn by being other people's earth experience. But in each of these, our goal is to complete our books. And your oversoul is your higher self. It's the guide. Again, we talk about this. This is the soul, and in the body, this is your spirit. And someone in the last live we were doing on our TikTok live said, Sunshine, what's the difference between a spirit and a soul? And as I sat and prayed about that, I meditated for a while. And Spirit had told me that the difference between a spirit and a soul is that your spirit contains all of your spiritual knowledge, wisdom, and experiences, whereas the spirit is just the amount of information that's present in the body, keeping it alive and interacting with the physical interface of the body. Okay, it's the energetic presence, but it's what's physically exchanging with that interface of your body. Okay, so people said to me, how will I know my loved ones when I die? If they don't have a physical body, how would I recognize them? Let me be assured to you. When I was in heaven, I did not see little globules with no clothes on and faceless eyes. I didn't see that. You know, when I say they don't have a body, everybody thinks we're just wisps of spirit floating around like a puff of smoke with a little tail like Casper the Friendly Ghost. And we are featureless and all of these things, and that's just not the case. We are not featureless. We very much can appear however we need to. This is a fact. So, if you would like to, if you were Uncle Gene, you're still going to be Uncle Gene for the person that knew you as Uncle Gene. Now let's think a little deeper, guys. If you were to see me there, I would look very much like Dr. Sunshine Frost. But if I had been Li Yin in another life to somebody else that I was incarnated with, they could also see me as Li Yin if I wanted to. If that's the experience we shared. But remember, there is no identity that we are stuck in heaven. So remember I said in heaven, we are water. Right now, this is spirit and this is your physical body. The cup that contains, this is your spiritual essence, right? The water in this cup. And the body is your physical holder. Okay? Someone else has the same exact thing. This seems kind of unfair. Let me put a little more in there. Okay? So let's say this person and this person are both water. When you remove the containers, what happens with the two waters, guys? What happens? I love the comments. Interesting, spiritual essence, yes. How many of you are watching me on your television? Yes, spiritual essence, go to the lives. Make sure you guys share this live out. Share, there's a referral link at the bottom. Make sure you share. So, if you're water and they're water, what happens when you're out of the physical body, guys? What do you think? Thank you for being here, Miss Tamra. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Robin. I love your comments. Thank you. Make sure you guys are commenting so you can join the live program. So the water mixes. That's the answer. Without this cup and without this one, you both turn into water. But you're still your water and they're still their water. It's just that when the waters mix, there isn't a mix match. There isn't a difference. There is a remembrance because you're picking up and remembering all of their life and they're remembering all of yours. Okay? So when we're in spirit on the other side, we're not separate from any one person and we're not separate from God. Believe it or not. We're actually the Spirit of God, His energy, His wisdom, the Spirit of knowledge, the Word of knowledge, everything is present all around us in heaven. And the higher you go in the levels of heaven, the more intense this feeling is. And we are all trying to get back to that oneness with each other so we can then integrate back into the oneness of God. Okay? So when we are teaching this, we are all energy. Yes, that's right. Energy, Marty, that's great. No division and no differences. Right. There isn't black and white in heaven. There isn't male and female necessarily. We can show ourselves as that, or we can resonate on that polarity of being masculine or feminine. But pretty much everybody as a spirit has to become balanced. And even Christ was the most balanced, perfectly balanced. Jesus was balanced 4 different ways, which the cross means a lot to me because of the sacrifice he made in his atonement and in the work that he did on the cross. However, the cross has a very deep esoteric meaning, which we'll talk about at another time, but the short and long of the cross is that Christ was balanced in the masculine and the feminine, and he overcame the lower self to fully embody the higher self. And that's what we are doing in the sign of the cross, believe it or not. Okay. Miss Tan, yes, balanced, oneness. Yes, we get hearts. Amen, amen. Thank you. Show. Miss Tamara says, my husband and I saw my sister-in-law at my mother-in-law's funeral, and my sister-in-law had passed away 6 months before my mother-in-law. It was only for a few seconds, but you knew that it happened. That is I'm getting the chills as I hear this. This is amazing because, yes, heaven is an open door for those that are being ready to be received. It's amazing and beautiful. Please make sure you guys comment 3 times on this video on your replays. Make sure you watch it and share. And I love these comments. Keep them coming. They're just really, these comments are very good. Let's see what Robin says. So our souls connect. This explains of how you can think of somebody and strangely the phone rings and it's them. Yes, Miss Robin. And there's another video that I did on this channel as well that's about how we can coach ourselves into something and how your thoughts really don't stay in your head. That there's a substance around us called ether, and this is a water-like wave substance that brain waves travel through, so you can be traveling anywhere and thinking of anyone. And this is actually how I do my sessions. People say, how do you do accurate readings in a chat box without seeing the person? You can't see them, you don't know what race, color, or anything about them. The only thing I ask is when they were born, what their name is, and how old they are. And it's because of this exact concepts. It's perception of energy. Tamara says, the look on her face, I don't think she realized we saw her. Wow. Yes, ether, brain waves, exactly. Mr. Sunshine always has a lot to add to this, and I love these deep dives. I'm going to tell you, I'm not one for candy television. I've just kind of gotten to this point where I've seen it all, heard it all, and I just cannot sit for even 30 minutes watching something that I feel like takes me away from my true message or path here. And sometimes I kind of have to listen to something that feeds my brain and feeds my soul and increases my faith and gives me something to think about and gives me an opportunity to take these deep, deep dives. And I hope you feel exactly the same way. And I can tell you do, these are the thinkers. These guys are not laying in bed sleeping. They're thinking about these things. The universe is always listening, and words are so powerful. Yes, how many of you have just given up on the news, given up on television, and you said, I can't do it anymore. I can't let my brain be contaminated. Why do some people who say they don't see anything when they died? I went to a place of blackness. If you look at my near-death interview with Alex Ferrari on Next Level Soul, it was filmed in June of 2 years ago, I believe. I talk about in my near-death, I went down into nothingness because I thought I deserved hell, and so I cast myself away to outer darkness, I believe, and then I came back through the body, and they had the opportunity to interact with one of my spirit guides. And then I was able to go up, and I talk a little bit more about that in the near-death experience. And I don't get into it on this channel because it's something that I interview about quite frequently. So I don't want to create don't want to create redundancy in our content. Excuse me. But some people will see what they believe they need to see. Honestly, everybody says no news. Andrea says me. Tamara says me. Tamara says no news. Christina says, yeah, I can't watch TV anymore no matter how much I try to flip through. I don't have the ability to turn on an off switch and watch like hours of a show that just doesn't feed my soul. I want to know that I'm using something that's going to further me spiritually, materially, right? It's either going to grow my skills in the kitchen, it's going to help me to be a better saver, earn more money, learn a new skill, or just feel spiritually fed, right? I have to be learning something, or I have to be experiencing something. To just watch the television nonstop, it means that I'm wanting something to block out spirit, because the television is tell-a-vision to me. Programs are programming, and so to get your mind to be attuned to spirit, it's oftentimes very important that we turn off all of that distractive and noises. And Andrea says, I just watch you instead. And she's been, how many years have you been watching? This is your television, right, Andrea? Thank you for sharing that, Sunshine. My brother said he saw nothing and darkness, so he said he doesn't believe it. But what you just shared makes sense. Yes, so please go to my near-death account on Next Level Soul. I think it'll help you a lot, because when I died, I did not have this white light, tunnel of light, come suck me up like a vacuum. I didn't go through that. I went down through the floor, and I could taste the metal, the cast iron of the tub, and I went through the concrete, through the dirt, under the hotel room, and down into a place that it felt like I went forever into darkness. And there was nothing. There was just nothing there. And it's because, A, my brain hadn't fully died, and B, I believe I deserved it. And whatever you believe is what you, really, I think that's what you experience. Again, it's on Next Levels. It's actually on my channel. If you watch it on my channel, it's on my channel. I just downloaded it as one of my shows. So if you look at this channel right here, on the YouTube, which is Spirit Doctor Sunshine Frost, you will find it. And it's on our show. I have, I think, 3 interviews, and we have 2 more coming up. So Kathy says, Andrea says, I watch you on TV instead, and I've been watching you for 9 years. Kathy says, I don't like the news. And Tamara says, holy cow, yikes. Yeah, it was my experience. But again, it wasn't the entire experience, because I called upon the white light and it came and got me. So if I hadn't have called on the white light, if I hadn't have thought about Jesus, if I hadn't have asked for it, I don't know where I would be. But for me, that wasn't the case. I'm more of a believer now after having that experience than I ever had before. Before it was conceptual, now it's part of my reality. I can't change it. Yeah, if I had not had my near-death experience, and I think there's a lot that I learned from it. Just briefly, I'm not going to be redundant in the content that you watch, but I was a converted believer of Jesus when I died, but I died of an overdose of substance, and I believed 100% that I deserved to go to hell. 100%. And I believed I was already in hell and that hell was on earth. I really believed that too. At 17, I had all those conceptuals. And in that near-death experience, there was nothing in the beginning. I was just locked in my own, I guess, brain or judgment, however. And I realized that I had to come back up through the floor, and then I was able to see my body. And I remember when I was dying and my heart had stopped, that I remember thinking, I don't want to die this way, I'll probably go to hell. And I thought that, I remember that being probably the last thought that I had in my mind before my heart stopped. So I think that I created that environment for myself because I was being unbelieving and judgmental and critical of myself. So I believe that, yes. So hopefully that helps. Let's see. Robin says, can you explain this? God says, no man comes before me, but the way to get to God is through me. Well, that is true. That is true. That is a true statement, and I'll tell you what I've taken from that. So again, my job is to tell you what I have found to be true, and then your job is to see what resonates with you, what resonates with you. So in this comment, Jesus said, no man comes before me. That's true. Jesus is the first man to come before God. That's true. But the way to get to God is through Jesus. What he's saying is the closest creation to God is Christ, Yeshua. And if you remember the scripture that says, I am the first and the last, people don't understand or teach them that either. And when I channeled on that and fasted about it, what he's actually saying is that Jesus was his first creation, and he's the last avatar that we'll ever need to ascend and master ourselves and get back to the higher place where we can become one with God again. So Jesus actually incarnated the most amount of times, which is so, I know people are going to come after me. Look, I'm okay with that. You can come after me in the comments. I know you all will. Everybody's going to say something different, but I have had the shoulder-to-shoulder experience with Christ. I've had the experience of getting to know him in and out of church. I've had the experience of getting to know him in and out of the Essenes. I've had the opportunity of getting to know him in and out of the canonized scriptures, and I've had the opportunity to know him in the agnostic gospels, and it's just been a joy and a beauty to see how the fullness of who he really was, not just what they want to tell us about him. And I can tell you that what he was saying is, he did say not to worship him, but to give your devotion to him, because he's the avatar. That if we were to live and follow and actually believe as him, we'll be closer to God than anyone, because he's the only one to have overcome all of his lower self. And his work was completed on the cross, because that was the last part of it, which was complete unselfishness, 100% love and compassion. Like no one has had that ever before, and they will never have it again the way Jesus had it. But we're all hoping to become like that. So I shouldn't say no one after him, but yeah, he's the first and the last we will ever need as an example to get back to God. So hopefully that helps you. You have to remember a lot of the words that they used in the Bibles were manipulated to create a dogma. Yeah, a dogma that Jesus himself did not teach. Okay. I feel like experience helped root us in our testimonies, and it has helped me to realize it's up to you to choose to believe and grow in the Lord. Yeah, absolutely. Christina says, spending time here with you makes me feel closer to my actual home. I've been watching Dolores Cannon. She is a genius of a woman. I love her so much, and I love her works. And Carl Jung for years for the exact same reason. Amen. I love that. Because it's not limited. This is why the show is called Spirit Uncensored, because we take so many questions, whether we agree or disagree. We allow commentary. We allow people to bring their questions to the table and enjoy the teachings and just continue with it. So let's see. The reason you will know your loved ones in heaven is because we are energetic in our bodies. We can appear to be any age we want. Usually when I saw people in my heavenly experiences, everyone was about 30 except for the children. It was a shock to me that children did stay their same size, shape, and form. And babies were still kind of babies, but they were able to communicate, which was a little weird. Babies were like, say a newborn died, or a child that was in utero. That child appeared to be about like 3 years old to me, but they can communicate with me as if they were just a central being. They weren't stuck in a baby body. They were able to actually like communicate to me like a child would, not a baby. So that was kind of interesting. But everybody was, and I could tell the people that were older because of the clothes and the hairstyles, but they still appeared like young and fresh. But you could tell just the age that they lived in because of some of the clothing. But again, the people that you were married to and the people you've been into, the people that you've been with in this life, you will recognize them by their eyes, because remember, every time you stare in the eyes of someone that you love, you're looking at their soul, not their body. When you stare in someone's eyes, you are acknowledging and looking into their soul, not their body. This is why people who don't like to make eye contact, they're not comfortable with looking in the soul of someone else, because they have not looked into their own soul. Most people that can't stare in someone else's eyes also does not stare in their own eyes in the mirror. They'll look at the body and then quickly go. Because looking into the eyes is making a spiritual connection with another person. So think about someone like when you hold, I'm sorry, I've got spirit nose in case you guys don't know what this is. Every time spirit is around me as a physical medium, I've always had this tell of getting my nose get super, super itchy. And usually when I go on lives, I'm channeling and doing live readings. And this is the first week we've had the podcast going. And so my spirit guides, and just basically my angels and spirit in general, my body is like, we're ready to channel and do some readings, but I'm not doing readings on this particular channel at this time. So I'm just feeling the energetics of angels and loved ones being present. Okay. Let's see what she has to say. I feel like I know what people are thinking, and I've tried to understand or rationalize this. Can you help me understand? So everybody's born with different perceptions, but this would be a different topic. This would be on the topic, is everyone born psychic? And we'll definitely touch and talk about that in that show, Miss Tamra. But the short and long of it is, everybody's born with psychic perceptions, but we don't all keep them, because many of us turn them off as children when we're told like, oh, that's not real, or why would you say that, or I wasn't thinking that, or how could you know that? And so the reaction determines how well we work on that perception, or we shut it down from fear. And thoughts are not in your head. They're brain waves that go out from you. And so every person is both a transmitter of energy and a receiver of energy. So it's really not that hard to understand that your thoughts are always being transmitted to about 10 foot around you. And sometimes if you're thinking laser beam on somebody, they can feel it from a million miles away, so to speak. And for those people that are thinking about you, you can also feel it. That's how you pick up the phone. They come to your mind or something like that. Is perception. It's all in your energetic perceptions. All right, everybody have any other questions tonight about how you'll know a loved one if you see them in heaven? You do know your great-great-grandparents. A lot of people say, I don't know my great-grandparents. Yes, you do. They say, no, I don't. They died before I was born. And I said, that's exactly why you know them. Because when you were in heaven, they were in heaven. Okay? When they crossed over from their life, you were still waiting to come down here for yours. So who do you think babysat you when you were in heaven, so to speak? Because your parents were on earth. Your grandma and grandpa sometimes are on earth, most of the time. And your siblings are on earth. So who do you think you were there with? By yourself, alone? That's how that works, guys. You're connected to the other spirits of your ancestors and your family when you're on the other side. And that only goes back a few generations because a lot of your ancestors are incarnating on the planet at the same time. But it's usually like 3 generations are together and then they kind of start coming back in. Not everybody comes back in. A lot of people don't. But yeah, a lot of people do. All right, everybody. So thank you so much. Let's see. Think so as something to think of. Oh, that's so awesome. It's something to think of. Tamara says, I was shown a place in a dream where people were everywhere and they were different floors and they were coming to see me as if they all seemed related to me. That's right. That's correct. People have no idea when I tell them. They say, well, who's on the other side for me? Just talk to anybody. And I said, no, we don't do that here. We say a prayer and we connect to the exact person that we're supposed to. And we do not talk to familiar spirits and we don't talk to people you can't validate. So that's what Christian-based, evidence-based mediumship is all about. All right, everybody. Kathy, that's a great question for another live. We'll talk about astrology and whether Christians, or even just what astrology is and why does it matter? Is it legit? Is it fake? We're going to talk about that in another post. But for now, I just thank you so much for being here. We want to keep these brief messages about 30 to 35 minutes. And we're at 37 minutes, so we really want to leave them kind of short and sweet, like maybe a drive to the store or a drive to work or maybe making dinner. We don't want them to drag out because then what happens is we don't get the comments, the likes, the posts, and we don't get the return that we want to help grow the One Tribe all around the world with these beautiful messages from a clairvoyant channeler, Sunshine Frost, and from heaven. It's not just me that I represent. I'm really excited to actually be able to teach these teachings as I have just not found them anywhere. I know there's different teachers and it's taken me a long journey to find people that have seen or experienced similar experiences, so I'm really, really happy to get to teach this channel. I feel like you're getting 10 teachers in one, which is a great thing. And I just love all of you being here and I appreciate it so much. So please make sure you like, comment, share, watch it on your phone, make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you send this to someone else, and most of all, if you would like to find out more about our readings and what I do here, then make sure that you book your readings and healings at sunshinefrost.com. Also remember that we have a free consultation if you'd like to have me as a guest for a podcast or interview. You can go to our free consultation, or if you'd like a reading but you just don't know what session you might need, then feel free to book a free consultation at sunshinefrost.com. And also, if you're going to be in the Southern California area, remember that we are here at the Spiritual Academy in Menifee, California. If you are interested in knowing more about me or what we do, then make sure you check out our website again at sunshinefrost.com. And all times are adjusted for wherever you're at in the world. You can pay with any currency, and you can also use PayPal if need be. You can use credit cards, and we also have some live events coming up, and our live events are going to be in Sedona, Arizona in September, and we also have some in California, possibly Florida, and maybe Georgia. So make sure you check out the website to see our offerings on that, and until then, I will see you on the next video. Thank you guys so much. Like, comment, and make sure you show your One Tribe pride by commenting in the bottom how long you've been with the One Tribe and why you love this show and why you'd recommend it. All right, everybody. Thank you so much.